IXL, which is a personalized learning technology resource. My name is Angela Shaw, and this is my key assessment presentation. So today we are going to focus on IXL, which is a website. Today we are also going to focus on the math-specific content that IXL can provide to your classroom. So IXL is an online learning tool which provides comprehensive curriculum in some subjects like math, science, social studies, language arts, and Spanish. However, because I teach math at Wheaton North High School, I'm going to specifically focus on the math benefits of IXL. IXL provides real-time diagnostic for students to help them improve. IXL recommends various tips and gives teachers data to ensure that all students can fill their knowledge gaps. Math IXL also matches concepts within Common Core standard textbooks that are used in the state of Illinois and assessments such as the ACT and SAT. For those of us that don't know a little bit or don't know anything about IXL, here's a short video that will help us understand better. All right. So currently in Community Unit School District 200, the district that I teach in, IXL is currently approved on our Learn platform, which means it is SOPA approved. However, as a district, we do not currently have a paid membership. As an individual school, we do not currently have a paid membership. Now, after speaking with our technology liaison, Rob Grigolite at Wheaton North High School, because IXL is an approved resource and application on the Learn platform, Each individual school in our district does have the ability to purchase just a school-wide account or school-wide paid membership. It really would just depend on the principal of that building, the need for IXL in the building. Um, One thing that I learned in this program throughout the last year and a half is that our principal's budget, discretionary budget, can be used for educational resources. For example, in our school, we pay for the paid version of quizzes, but as a district, we do not. So even though quizzes is approved on the Learn platform, and even though Wheaton North has a paid subscription, my principal pays for that out of our school budget as opposed to the district paying for it as a whole. So even though we do not have a district membership for IXL, this is something that after this presentation and after this research that I've conducted, is something that I am interested bringing to my principal, the benefits that IXL can bring to Wheaton North. So in terms of IXL, like we just learned in the video, IXL tends to focus on three key important tasks for students to work through. It focuses on the learning. So students from pre-K through Math Integrated 3, which is high school level, work through math lessons based on various topics. Math IXL provides practice problems, practice quizzes, video engagement, and also some interactive games for students to work through. Math IXL also creates individualized assessments for teachers to use based on their students' needs. So Math IXL is able to pinpoint student grade level proficiency. It's able to take the analytics that we'll talk about in a second and use the real-time diagnostic to create a personalized plan for each learner. And then lastly, it's data driven, right? So analytics are valued and looked at all the time. It helps the teacher diagnose the student's needs by looking at their live classroom and seeing what types of questions students are struggling with. It's able to help the teacher target individual learning and small group process as well. So when we think about IXL and how it relates to the SAMR model, it really does go through all four stages really nicely, right? If you think about substitution, Math IXL is replacing that idea of a traditional worksheet or a traditional workbook problems, where back in the day, a math teacher used to say, hey, everyone, open up chapter 12, page 123, and tonight you're going to do homework problems numbers 1 through 40 odds, right? Because you're having live workbook problems online, it's able to give students that instant feedback, which then ties into the augmentation piece. Feedback is not delayed, right? Because students are not turning in homework the next day and the teacher's not taking a day or two or a week to grade it, students are able to see practice examples of common missed mistakes. They're able to learn from their mistakes and they're able to get real-time feedback instantly. Now, because of that augmentation piece, it's easy for a Math IXL to then modify, right? Math IXL can then modify learning plans and individualize questions based on what the student needs, which then ties back into that last piece of the SAMR model on redefinition. Once a student has a modified learning plan, then Math IXL and the teacher together using the data can redefine, hey, is my student now improving? How can we track this process after we've adapted their learning, adapted their practice problems? And then it really customizes the instruction for students to create that effective learning. So why do we want to invest in our students? How much is this going to cost us? After some research, it does look like that if you would like to purchase an individual classroom license, that is going to start around $299, and it will only give you access for up to 25 students. So in a high school setting, I teach upwards to 120 students across the whole day. So unfortunately, that is not something that would work well for my classroom. But a fourth grade elementary school teacher, for instance, that might bode well for them. After doing some more research and emailing back and forth with my Math IXL and requesting a quote, it does seem like if your school district is interested in purchasing a district-wide plan, it will vary in cost depending on the size of your district, depending on the needs of your district. There's a few different tiers to Math IXL that you can purchase. It also is going to depend on how long you're purchasing the membership for. Yearly, if you're going to do the trial. So if you are interested in purchasing this at a district-wide level, I highly recommend going to IXL.com, filling out the interest form to request a quote, and someone from IXL will get back to you. So, in terms of relating Math IXL to this idea of interactive learning and why is technology, why can it be used in the classroom, I wanted to focus my 3 articles on the idea specifically of interactive learning using technology. So, the first article that I looked at explored a study of interactive learning in 2 8th grade math classes. So, the study was using this technology resource called Destination Math, which is similar to Math IXL. The study looked at both teacher and student experiences. And one thing that I really enjoyed when reading this study and looking at it was that it did focus on the idea that even though technology might not immediately transform teaching practices, using technology can positively impact a student's role and experiences in the class. Traditional pencil paper notes are just not doing it anymore. Students need to be engaged and they need to feel valued. And by doing something interactive, that is going to be the case. Now, of course, the study did address challenges, and it didn't seem like one of the challenges for teachers is that there was a lack of support in the buildings that this study was conducted, that it's hard for teachers to implement something new when there's not any structure to it or any type of professional development. So that is something that we definitely are going to address when we look at the barriers and solutions. The second article that we looked at was an article from the country of Jordan. The country of Jordan has a little bit of a different education system than us from the US. Their education system lacks the idea of critical thinking. So the 2 studies that were conducted in this article was focusing on 2 groups, a group of traditional learners and a group of multimedia learners. The curriculum that was in place for the multimedia was created specifically for this study. It was something that was very interactive, whereas the traditional curriculum was your typical standards-based learning, uh, pencil paper notes, what you would typically see in a Jordanian classroom. The findings included that interactive multimedia curriculum is more effective than traditional methods. And it also talked about how, because the Jordanian education system lacks critical thinking, that this idea of multimedia can help bridge that gap in student learning. When we think of critical thinking, we like to think of that aha light bulb moment that students have when they're thinking for themselves. So if their education system lacks that, providing interactive tools and using technology can help students bridge that gap of like, hey, I'm not just memorizing information for the sake of memorizing. I'm actually understanding and relating how I can use this in my everyday life. And then last but not least, I looked at a third article which specifically talked about the impact of IXL, which is an interactive tool, over the course of 3 years. So it compared IXL and non-IXL schools in a public school setting, different districts, but local areas. It focused on the grades 3 through 8th grade, so your upper elementary, middle school grades. It did show that schools who used Math IXL showed larger gains in their proficiency. What I found interesting is that the research concluded that there should be more research that is like still going on, that the research really shouldn't stop, that they would like to evaluate other grade levels to determine achievement and retention. So, for instance, if this is only being studied over 3 years, if you're looking at someone in 5th grade and then you study them for 3 years, you're looking at 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. What might their retention look like in high school if their high school uses IXL, right? So it's important for these case studies to always research and to always reevaluate where their students are at, because the more we show that my Math IXL is improving proficiency and helping student achievement, the more push that there will be for implementation in these classrooms. So when we talk about barriers or obstacles that IXL, has that teachers in a school has to overcome, One of the biggest things I think, especially in my building lately, is that because there is all this push for technology, lately it almost seems like technology is becoming a distraction. AI, one-to-one devices, always having their phones out. Students are just constantly on technology. So if we bring in something like Math IXL, this is just one more thing for teachers to have to implement. When teachers feel like this is more work or that we're adding to their plate, we lose their interest and we lose their excitement, right? It can be hard for teachers to feel motivated to want their students to spend more time on the computer or their phone when some of those things are causing such a disruption and distraction. When looking into Math IXL, a solution that I thought of, which kind of ties into this new instructional role that I have at school, is like, let's do a trial run and let's conduct a study with just a select few teachers. I think it's important to select teachers from all different backgrounds, of all different contents, and honestly, of all different opinions of technology. I think it would be useful for teachers who really love technology and implement technology to learn from teachers who might be a little bit against it and vice versa. But once you have this trial run and once you start with a smaller select few group, then you can really lean on them to help with professional development, to help with training sessions, so that way teachers of every walks about in the school feel comfortable and motivated to try something new. It also helps teachers learn that there is an appropriate use of technology in their classroom, and IXL can be one of them. Another barrier or obstacle in IXL is this idea that lately it seems like one-to-one devices and interactive games on the computer kind of decreases that idea of socialization in a school. As you know, schools nowadays have more social emotional learning needs than ever before. And many teachers worry that constantly having students on technology and one-to-one devices can only make those matters worse. However, with Math IXL, because there is that individualized learning plan and because there's always this constant feedback, students will feel more comfortable and confident working together with others. They want to help each other out. It's okay for a group to work in pairs or in a group of 3 or a group of 4, and it's okay for everyone's Math IXL to look different. But the fact that they're asking each other questions, asking each other for feedback, learning from each other holds the suitable students accountable to the idea that, in life, you're going to always be working on a team and you're going to always have to work together with someone. Having Math IXL can still, aid in this idea of creating a positive learning environment. So say yes, right? Why not? We should be recommending IXL, specifically math or science or whichever content you teach, to our districts and to our school. When implementing IXL into your math classrooms, the students can learn to adapt and they can learn to improve their skills instantly. They're getting that instant feedback based on data and based on analytics from IXL itself. You, as the teacher, can then help set the precedent that personalization and individual learning will help them improve their skills and they will have achievement, right? They will succeed. This idea that there's personalization, that there's interactive engagement, all of those factors are top notch. That is what we're looking for in a modern day classroom. And Math IXL can help support all of your students in your class and help bring positivity to your classroom. Let's face it, math is not always the most loved subject, but when you find something interactive like this that can really hook students, I think a little can go a long way. So thank you for listening to my presentation. I really have learned a lot over these last 8 weeks in terms of technology and the role that I want to have with it in my future goals and endeavors of being an administrator. So I hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you will consider using IXL in your future classrooms. Thank you.